Good evening, Bruin fans, and welcome to another edition here of Something Bruin with Coach Cook here, episode 3 and our third season with this program. Coach Cook, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, trying to stay cool. I can tell you that.
Well, hey, let's talk about. First week of school here with students, and yes, practice has gone to the afternoon, but with this heat, you guys just decide to practice indoors to keep the players. It's been day in and day out.
Yeah, it's been day to day for us. We were at this same space a year ago. Number one, it's good to see kids back in the school. Education is key, and that's been my message all week to all of my individual classes. And that message is also shared with all our student athletes. What my question to them were this week was, what does a teacher mean to you? And the answer and response collectively has been everything in my future, which is pretty cool. A lot of high school kids start to see a future or a plan that they have in place, much different from middle school. And, to see kids have goals that they want to achieve in life. Now our job is to align them. So it's been pretty cool to see kids back. I don't know quite the number of the amount of students in our building, but I know it's well over 2,200 plus. And this is another game within a game, right, Mark? Our players now have to adjust and adapt to other people. We've been spoiled since July 26th, where it was just us. Right. And now they have to, again, adjust and adapt to their school community, administrators, teachers, and things alike.
Yes, and the thing is like we've talked about before. We had to go find two non-conference teams this year here, and we got Menchville there in the first game. But last week we played Thursday, another home game, but it was Benedictine, a private school from Richmond, and somebody they were already in school, somebody that is coming 64 East, about 90 miles, definitely ready to play.
Absolutely. Coach Lilly has a great team, a great staff, and we needed that. It felt like a playoff game early in the season to really see where we are as a program. And I was very proud of our kids' efforts. It also exposed some things that we could continue to work on. Had a chance to compete against one of my college teammates that played at IC Norcom, Coach KC. So it was awesome to be able to compete against a good, fundamentally sound team. Our challenge to our kids were, do we care? Do we really care? We playing to our ability and competing with a purpose. And, I think as we navigated through that game, we saw our kids grow up in the game. By fourth quarter, we were able to shut them out and, kind of get our score in and really show that we belong. Yes, sir. But it was an awesome start to our season so far. Absolutely.
Yeah, and the thing is people saying, "Oh, Western Branch playing a private school," but playing a team like Benedictine here in our week 2, of the 23 season, it definitely gets us ready to hear our first road game tomorrow. Is not only district games from here on out, but get us ready here for Kings Fork.
Absolutely. And, going back to Benedictine, I felt we matched up well. We just made a few more mistakes than they did, and they executed on a few more plays than we did. But outside of that, I think it could have been a closer game, or any person's game, any man's game. But, again, we appreciate Coach Lilly, giving us that opportunity. It felt like a playoff game, and I'd much rather see us now compete at a high level than in late November going into December. We're wondering, what type of team are we late in that playoff run. But now transitioning to a new week, that's the beauty of football. We tell our kids all the time, sports talk radio is for the fans, right? When your
Right.
team wins, you're excited and you're bragging all week. When the team loses, you're complaining all week, right? But at least it gets them back to Sunday or Saturday, depending on what level, and even Fridays. But we tell our kids we got to move on. We got to turn that page, and we got to learn from it, right? So that's been our big focus. Did we get better? Are we doing everything as a staff to allow our kids to be successful? And obviously, we got to prepare for Kings Ford. They're a solid team, great team. Have been in the deep run of playoffs the last few years, or at least regional championship opportunities. And for us, we got to play our brand of football. And that's the biggest test for us. We battle adversity all week with the weather and the times we could go out and practice, the amount of gear we could wear during practice. We never complained. We never wavered. But at the same time, we understand that that's going to be a challenge in itself, much like Benedictine. Remember not to go back and make excuses. But we had that downpour on Monday that did not make it safe enough for kids to come to practice that day before the Monday before Labor Day. So we really had 1 day of prep going into Benedictine and a walkthrough, kind of a modified walkthrough on that Wednesday to get ready for Thursday. We're much in that same boat right now. And we also share that with our guys. And we just got to control what we can and continue to grow and develop into the team we're going to be this year. So with all that being said, we're in a good space. We got one more day to get things tuned up. And we finally have Friday night lights, baby. We finally have Friday night lights.
That's right, because to all the Bruin fans out there, our previous 2 episodes have been Wednesday since we play Thursday nights. Now we're back, on our regular schedule here with the episodes being Thursday and then Friday night lights. And to all the listeners out there, I did see that Kings Fork was off last week, but they did play the week before against Churchland and open up. They're going to be coming, and I think that's their home opener tomorrow as they come in 1-0.
Absolutely. Me being in Northern Virginia and all the Stafford high schools have turf fields. Tomorrow's going to be a good test, right? We've been preaching hydration. That turf field is at least 10 degrees hotter than the air temperature. So that's going to be a test for both teams, both programs. But we have conditioned our guys very well this week, and that's something else you see. Where do we start either getting stronger or where do we start to seem like we're fading? And we got to pick up in that phase as a practice mindset to get our guys prepared. So, we did a lot of running this week. We've done a lot of county fair conditioning just to get our guys rolling and mentally ready for this particular matchup. But yeah, they open up with their new turf on tomorrow night, and should be an exciting ball game. Now, the one thing I've seen is we've improved each year, right? We have not had an opportunity under my leadership to go 1-0 against them, right? The first year was 17-3, 14-point differential. Last year was 14-7 and a crazy finish, regardless of how you look at it. And this year we're looking to improve again. We're looking to go 1-0 as we always do. So, this is going to be another big early test for us.
Yeah, and before we start talking about Bruin football alums and everything, I just we did play Thursday night, then Labor Day weekend, and I just like to highlight here before we start talking about some recent alums that started their college season here this past weekend. Let's start off here with the Labor Day Classic.
Hell State, right? The men of Troy came to Tidewater, Virginia. They went 1-0. I mean, I got so much respect for both coaches, both programs, and we got quite a few Bruins on Norfolk State's side of the ball. But it's always great to see Big State win. So big shout out to the Trojans, the men of Troy, and looking forward to their next matchup.
Yeah, and that was interesting here that they kicked off the season against each other, because just the week before, Norfolk State baseball alums went out to Shepherd Stadium, and
Okay.
that was a cool atmosphere here with Virginia State baseball alums playing against Norfolk State. So definitely
Yeah. Yeah.
friendly rivalry there down
Yes.
460.
Yes, I did see something about that, but it's always been a rivalry. I believe Virginia State still leads that rivalry, but understanding, the history of Norfolk State, they were in the CIAA before transitioning to. Sorry about the noise, but they were in the CIAA before transitioning to the MEAC, and again, I think, like we said before, sometimes you throw out all stats. Right. And all things considered, and it's just a backyard brawl, and that definitely was.
Yeah, and and while we were playing, against Benedictine, I know that Desmond there and William and Mary, they started off, down there at Campbell, and I saw that Shamik there at North Carolina A&T opened up against UAB.
Yes, absolutely. It's a lot of Bruins playing ball, right?
Yeah.
Jazari Priester had a classic with Whitney M. Young Classic with Grambling State University. CJ Frazier opened up against who was it? Delaware State, I believe. Morgan State, actually.
Morgan State. Yeah.
Correction, Morgan State, right? And so it was a lot of good football. Paul upset over South Carolina, 12 o'clock, I wake up. He sends me 2 pictures, him of those guys walking into the stadium and him on the field holding his child. So just awesome to see. But yeah, Campbell, William and Mary opened up with Campbell, which was a good test, right, to see if they were ready for, the CAA run and things, all things considered. Now they do play UVA, but it's in the middle, almost the middle part of the season, versus it being a season opener. Shamik had his first D1 test, right, going against UAB. So he ended up going down. Who coaches there? Is it Trent Dilfer?
Trent Dilfer, yeah. So,
he had a chance of two pros, right? Vincent Brown, also a longtime Patriot. And so it was awesome to see a lot of our guys, Marcy Bruin, all these guys, Shenandoah opening up with a win. So it's just so cool to see a lot of our Bruins, are competing regardless of the 1-0 mindset or whatever it looks like. It's just good to know we have quite a few out there that have put in their time, their dues, and are ready to, continue to take this to another level. So big shout out to all those young men that represented Western Branch High School this past Saturday, and for all the Saturdays and Thursdays to come.
Yeah. And then to piggyback on that, I mean, here with NFL kicking off, and there in our locker room, we got Josh Baker's jersey, Sharon's jersey, Dre's jersey, and here in a few hours there in Arrowhead Stadium there in Kansas City, the Lions will be playing the Chiefs, and Dre, I mean, he went to Facebook here this morning and talked about here being game day, but right when Dre was part of the Bruin football there in the early to mid 90s, that's when our team was, the program here was taken off, and then into the baton was passed to your class.
Absolutely. But shout out to Coach E, Coach Thomas and all those guys, Coach Delbridge, all the guys that really paved the way, even the 80s, the 70s. We often miss those guys, right? But they're also pillars and men that set a foundation, as well as the leaders of those programs, respectfully. But yes, get back to your question or your comment. Definitely the baton was passed, but we also had good examples of seeing it at the next level too, right? Sharon Stiff went to Virginia Tech, bought his time, and next thing you know, he was a household name. You heard him every Saturday, right? Dre Bly bought his time, and next thing you know, it was Dre Day every Saturday, right? And, just all alike. And then Vince Halls of the world and just all those guys, even Ryan Pond, he ended up playing baseball, right? But he laid a foundation that you had a standard that you wanted to achieve. Keith Burnell also had a stint in the NFL, out of that roster. Emmett Johnson, also had a stint off of that 97, 98 team. And, so we're just blessed to have so many good examples of, what it takes to be a pro. Some guys have great high school careers. Some guys have great college careers. And some one percenters, let's just keep it real, do well enough to end up making it to the NFL. And all the men you named were the exception to the rule. We did lose out Lorenzo Ferguson, competing at a high level as well at Virginia Tech and I believe Western Carolina, and had, trials and things of that nature. So it's been so many great Bruins. I know it's just across the board. Josh Mariner, we were talking about him earlier today and his skill set that he provided at Western Branch and Cortland Mariner, all those guys. Coach Addison, right, getting to work out with the Eagles. So it's a lot of good opportunities and examples that came out of Western Branch alone. And then you had Deep Creek. That was a pipeline as well, with all those guys, Deion Dyer. But ultimately, it's just a blessing. Football's back. We get to see what we loved and what we grew up on Thursday all the way through Sunday. We're in heaven right now.
Yeah, and you bring up Deep Creek. I mean,
Yes.
and there, when my class was graduating, their fall of '93 for football, but then June of '94, but then just a nice little run
Yes.
there through the '90s, early 2000s. That they're at the last week of the regular season, and at that time, just the regular season champion, the Southeastern District was decided by Deep Creek, Western Branch. And it was a big crowd, no matter if it was at Western Branch or you had to park at Deep Creek High School and cross George Washington.
Absolutely. That was it. That was it. The entire town, the entire city, whatever you wanted to call it, it shut down for that night, and regardless of, contrary to belief, there's a lot of people that probably could have supported their home school, but they wanted to see that Southeastern District showdown. As you get older, you have nothing but respect for the guys you competed against, the district you competed in, and that's why I'm okay with bringing those names up and those people, because iron sharpen iron. They made us better. We made them better, and the rest is history. I know we talked some of the guys in the '90s, Todd Hollowell. I believe Jeff Holland was at University of Richmond. So it's a lot of Bruins that were able to go on and compete at a high level. I know we're missing some of the gap between the 2010s and currently up. I know we highlighted Coach Addison, but it's so many names, and I'll be able to share a Excel spreadsheet with you of all the Bruins that I know about. And I believe we're around 82 since 1968. They had a chance to play college ball regardless of division.
Right. No, excuse me. And to bring back from the golf outing.
Yes.
I mean, we had Carmine's, early 80, went on to college football, Rick Corey there at Richmond, and then David Cox, who I think he punted at Virginia Tech, but then he coached those Deep Creek
Yes, he did.
teams,
Yes, he did.
So across, him and his brother went up against Coach Jay and the Bruins.
Absolutely.
When they were leading Deep Creek, even though they were Western Branch alums.
Right. Absolutely. Now, I may be wrong, and please forgive me, but I believe Jeff Holland went to Virginia Tech. I could be wrong.
Right.
But I'd rather be right. I really appreciate the platform you put on, and accuracy for me is key. Right. But absolutely, I believe he was one of the first Hokies out of Western Branch, I believe, that ended up going to compete and play for, I believe, Frank Beamer. We could fact check that and bring it back around next week, just so our audience, appreciates the platform that we that you put on. But yeah, it's just awesome to see. And now we're talking about the younger generation of Bruins, right, that are currently competing, whether it's FBS all the way down to Division III. It's just good to see, and we always say it's so many Bruins that probably had the same ability, but they just took a different avenue in their future endeavor. So we don't ever discount the other men on the roster that didn't quite make it to that level. We appreciate all those guys and what they did for us and the way they paved the way for us. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's, and I looked at some of our, for all the listeners out there, you can go to VHSL reference, and select, any public high school there in Virginia, and you pretty much have the records,
Hmm.
just as far back as what VHSL, took the records. But it's how's the JV? They get ready to have their home opener
Absolutely.
tonight against
Absolutely.
Kings Fork.
Yeah, well, I will go back to go forward. Benedictine, a great tea state, a great opportunity. We don't make excuses, right? We understand that. We respect that. That's our brand. That's what Western Branch has always been, But they learned a lot from that opportunity as well. So now we got another good program coming in. Have we cleaned up a lot of things to go 1-0 and get better? Coach Thomas has done a phenomenal job. Coach E, along with all of our coaching staff, as you've seen, we're on the sidelines with them on Thursday nights, still coaching our position groups up, still trying to build our program up. We're excited about tonight. This is a crosstown rival. Let's not hide it.
Right.
It's a lot of intensity between both programs, but we also have enough respect, right? To do it the right way and to keep the integrity of the game of football that we love right where it needs to be. So we're excited. The game will start at 7 o'clock tonight versus 6 due to the heat index. We feel that by 6 o'clock, I guess after school activities can resume outside after school activities
Okay.
can resume. So that's giving them about 30 minutes to warm up and kind of get ready to go into tonight's contest.
Yes. Yeah. And now that school has started, I'm sure a couple weeks later on this month, probably Western Branch and Jolliffe Middle
Yes.
school programs
Yes,
will
so
probably.
both of those feeder schools will be competing about 2 weeks now, almost into October. They may get started towards the end, but we're excited to see what our next crop of Bruins are going to be. Our future Bruins. I haven't been able to see either school yet. I definitely want to go over and put a face to a name for our Jolliffe Middle School Jaguars, and then ultimately go right around the corner to our West Branch Bruins middle school football program as well. Both coaches are quality coaches. I had a chance to get to meet, get to know, and grow with both of them. So we're excited to see what year 2 looks like. It seems that both of them have a full staff of about 5 coaches or so. So this should be a lot more, better in regards to taking pressure off of the coach. He's hired some good guys to lead both programs, if that makes sense. So we're excited. Can't wait to see these future Bruins, but these incoming freshmen from both programs this year have been phenomenal. Loaded with talent from Jolliffe, loaded with talent from West Branch Middle, and now it's on us to really develop those guys and mold them into the best players they could be.
Yes, I mean I remember going up to the high school there for middle school playoffs last year, and Western Branch Middle. Now I think Chesapeake Middle School playoffs only have a semifinal and a championship,
Yep.
but Western Branch, the middle school program, made it to the semifinals.
Absolutely. Coach Dale Bridge did a phenomenal job. Coaching. I believe Coach Hodges at Jolliffe did a phenomenal job, instilling his program and how he wants to see it in the future. So, a lot of good. But yeah, shout out to Coach Dale Bridge. Much like us, it's a short-lived success. We understand we got to move on and move forward and get prepared, for the 2023 season. And I'm excited to hopefully get over to both feeder schools soon, just to again build a relationship with the coaches, but also the young men that are going to transition into our high school in a little over 9 months.
Yes. Well, hey, Rashad, thanks for your time here, and good luck here to JV tonight and varsity there at as they go as the varsity Bruins. JV's home tonight, and then varsity Bruins go on the road here to Kings Fork High School. Should be should be a good one. And let's see, it tomorrow, with it being Friday, it's going back to 7 o'clock kickoff
Well,
time, right?
we will have to wait. I'm pretty sure our athletic director has been in contact with all other ads considered. Obviously, our training staff has really watched the wet bulb throughout the week and making sure it's safe enough for kids to be able to go out and compete. So that's almost, let's say, 7 o'clock is kickoff, but it could be moved back depending on, the type of evening it's going to be, including the turf, right? So again, we're not measuring just the air quality. We're also making sure that the heat index on the field is safe enough for our young boys. Just a quick throwback. We were talking when we were younger in the 90s. That was kind of like the prideful thing, right? Look how bad we were, right? Miami playing whoever, Florida State. And on the field, you remember the temperature gauge was like at 99.
Yes.
People would come in that this is the ground, temperature. Right. But now we are so much smarter, right? We are so much smarter. But yeah, so, all in all, I think we left one player off, not because of the connection with me, but the impact that he made at Western Branch and beyond. Todd Hollowell at Wake Forest, a 93, 90, 92, 93 Bruin, I believe, and 90.
I think he was there
92.
with Dre and Brian
okay.
there, 95.
Yep. So 95, right? Yeah. Ended up going down to Wake Forest, Winston-Salem, competing. And obviously, our first Bruin since him is Devin Cook, that is going down to Wake Forest. Now, I know we had some Bruins that had opportunities of recruitment, but, for as far as I know, Devin will be the second representative going down to Wake Forest, much like Paul Billups is the second Tar Heel that is representing Western Branch since Dre Bly. So we're excited. It's a season. It's a long season. And it's almost like baseball in a sense. We need to get hot at the right time, and continue to grow and continue to learn our team, what we can do and what we can't do, take what we like, throw away what we don't like, and continue to progress to get our kids better week in and week out. We have an awesome staff, as you know. We've been together for almost 3.5 years. Yeah. So the chemistry is there. The system is there on all three phases of the game. Now it's just making it conducive for our student athletes to compete and play fast.
Right. Yes. And, it's great that you brought up here with the heat and, the heat outside, the heat on the field, and the difference to when we grew up to how we do now with today's players.
Absolutely. And that's what you want to see. Do we grow the game? Is the game getting better? Old school players, they're soft. We were out in a 90, 95 degree weather, right? But, it's not necessarily that. It's so many other factors. Heat illness, right, is one. Heat stroke is another. Just dehydration alone could be a third. So you never know what the next person, which in our case, the student athlete or possibly coach, is going through. So we got to err on the side of caution. So, I really appreciate all things considered and how we've gone about that. Is it challenging at sometimes? Absolutely. But for the best interest of the child, we got to make the right decisions, if that makes sense. And just trust that we put our kids or continue to put our kids in a position to be successful. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes. And one last note here. I mean, with Labor Day weekend and having Monday off, Elizabeth was at Lane Stadium for her first night game. And, Dre's son on Old Dominion, Jordan Bly, know, and then Elizabeth and I were walking around the parking lot and we run into Coach Jones and his wife as Joe Jones is a Hokie alum.
Right. Yep. So, I mean, it's a process, it's that's a part of the process. It all comes full circle, right? So I also had a couple guys, shout out to Sean Asbury, number 7 for ODU, competing at a high level, had a pretty good game, right? So with so many guys that we have that, in my opinion, we get to watch, right? Jordan Bly, second generation Bly, competing at a high level. And then there are guys on Virginia Tech's side of the ball that I have a connection with as well. But yeah, that had to be fun. Did they play Enter Sandman? I thought at one point they couldn't.
They did play Enter Sandman, and when they came out in the field, Elizabeth looked right at me, and she's like, "I'm hooked with here with the atmosphere."
I know that's right. Yeah, I mean that's crazy. I seen on Twitter somebody said, "I don't care if Virginia Tech runs through the Parks and Rec banners, as long as they keep playing like this, I'm happy." So it's good to see our state schools, competing in state against each other. And that was a little get back from last year with ODU, right? So we get it. But to see our schools compete at a high level that recruit our school here at Western Branch, you can't ask for anything more. One thing I'll leave you with, I told our kids throughout the week, you got to be crazy to play this game football, right?
Yeah, right.
We compete all summer in the heat to win a championship in the cold. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be insane, right? So,
right.
We've really not trying to take away anything. We're just planting that seed that this is a game that so many people wish they could play, so many people love to watch, and so many people had a chance for it to be a life-changing moment. And we just wanted to let our kids know that their hard work is not going in vain. This will pay off, and we believe in that 100%.
Yes, and just the way the schedule has worked out, I mean, we've already had 2 home games. This is our first road game. Next week, it's already our 3rd home game, and I think the fourth home game is homecoming.
October 6th. Right. October 6th. Again, Coach Twine, he's gonna bring his team, right? Yeah. They're gonna come in this house trying and upset us. It was not scheduled by just the team we wanted to play. We had some other variables and factors that kind of changed our schedule. But again, we don't complain. We're going to figure this thing out. We're going to find a way to make things work. And we're just going to take each week one at a time. But we're going to be excited for that game. Kids really get up for that game. It is a week full of distractions with all the festivities. But I tell our kids all the time, not looking too far ahead, not looking over Kings Fort. But I tell them all the time, by Friday, we're the entertainers. So we got to prepare such so when they fill these stands, we're able to put on a good show.
Right. And Bruin fans, Kings Fork Road, not very far. So come on out, and if you got a chance, head on up to the high school here tonight to support JV. But Rashad, thanks again, and go Bruins.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark. Go Bruins.